My name is Jasmine Miller. I'm 31 and currently live in Denver, Colorado. I work as the head of marketing at a rapidly growing tech company. With a six-figure income, a nearly paid-off home, and enough emergency savings to support me for 6 months if needed, I should feel secure, free, even. But financial security doesn't mean peace. Not when your entire family treats you like a bottomless ATM. It's not that my family is struggling financially, they just lack boundaries and live in denial. My dad, Ronald, used to be a long-haul trucker. A minor injury forced him into early retirement, and he spent the time since investing, which mostly means gambling on sports all day. My mom, Sandra, holds a part-time job at a local bookstore, but most of her energy goes into crafting dramatic Facebook posts and justifying my father's behavior. Then there's Brittany, my younger sister by 4 years. She dropped out midway through college and has cycled through over 7 jobs in the past 3 years, none lasting more than a few months. I've always been the responsible one. While my dad bought scratch tickets instead of paying the electricity bill, I was out collecting aluminum cans to help. When Brittany crumpled up her test in frustration, I stayed up all night studying under a flickering lamp. I applied for scholarships, worked 2 jobs through college, and made it a mission not to rely on anyone. I didn't have the luxury to fall apart. At 22, I landed my first full-time job. Just weeks in, I got a tearful call from my mom. "Your dad made a bad investment and we're behind on rent. Can you send $1,200, just this once?" Without hesitation, I did. That marked the beginning of what became a pattern. Their pleas for help became regular, expected. 1 month it was the car. The next, it was an urgent medical need or Brittany's big job interview outfit. I paid, every time. No questions, no delays. They always promised repayment once things improved. But the payback never came. I wasn't just a provider, I was their emotional support line, the guilt sponge they could squeeze any time I considered saying no. There were no polite requests. Just manipulative phrases like, "That's what family's for," or, "You've always been the responsible one." And if I hesitated, Brittany would fire back with lines like, "You make over $100,000 and can't spare a few hundred for us?" Every holiday became an event I fully funded. Last Thanksgiving, I spent more than $2,600, airfare, hotel stays, since their home was uninhabitable, groceries, and generous gifts. From a custom jacket for my mom to a brand new console for Brittany. No thank yous. Just filtered Instagram stories captioned, #blessed #family first. To them, I wasn't Jasmine. I was a living wallet. A funding source they could tap with the right emotional script. I felt trapped. But saying anything felt impossible. My dad's calls weren't casual anymore, they were just, "When's the next transfer?" My mom would guilt-trip me with, "You don't want to see us fall apart, right? And Brittany? If you're not going to help, don't even bother coming home." I lived under this pressure for nearly a decade. I remember it clearly. I was 27. Brittany called me in tears at 6 a.m. Her landlord was threatening police action unless rent was paid by Friday. That same day, I had a crucial presentation that could have led to a regional promotion. Instead, I wired her $1,400. I can't even recall how that meeting went. Only that my name never came up for promotion afterward. This wasn't rare. It was routine. Every season brought a new crisis. In the spring, Brittany's laptop was stolen. I replaced it with a MacBook. In the summer, my mom hinted at a possible brain tumor, no insurance, so I covered $2,800 in medical bills. The result? A doctor's note recommending less screen time. In the fall, my dad confessed to another gambling accident. He was certain he'd win it back. I recognized the pattern: vague urgency, emotional manipulation, and guilt. If I paused, they'd remind me of old favors. Who paid your bills in college, huh? Or worse, I gave you life, and this is how you repay me. One time, I said no because I was finally planning my first vacation in 4 years. Brittany texted, "You're so selfish. We're out here drowning while you're sipping cocktails." My mom chimed in, "I'm not demanding. I just remember how many diapers I changed. This is the only thing I've asked for." Their requests always came cloaked in emotion, desperation, fear, shame. And when they didn't? Silence. A silence more crushing than confrontation. I tried setting limits. I told Brittany I'd fund her tuition only after she proved she registered for classes. She sent me a blurry screenshot with no school name or header. I looked it up. She never enrolled. When I brought up Dad's gambling, he exploded. Slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "I don't need life lessons from my own daughter." For years, I believed if I gave just a bit more, they'd stabilize. But the more I gave, the more invisible I became. Gone was the Jasmine who once dreamed of opening a bookstore in Boulder, who loved camping and cozy weekends with novels. I became a transaction. A bank account number attached to a name. One year, Brittany sent me a birthday wish list. All luxury items. I gave her a personalized journal and a handwritten card. No response. 2 weeks later, she messaged me a link to a $380 Coach bag. The notebook didn't really suit me. "This one's cuter." I laughed, an empty, echoing kind of laugh. It's been over 8 years since this all began. In all that time, not once did I receive a sincere thank you, much less an apology. They say things like, "It's your duty," or "You're the strong one." But who do I lean on? Who checks on me? I thought I was resilient. But the truth? I had just become very good at enduring. Every month, I averaged around $3,200 in transfers. No one asked how I was doing. No one knew I had chronic insomnia. I couldn't even take extended vacations, terrified I'd miss another urgent emergency. It wasn't age that tired me out at 30, it was the drain. The constant giving. Every transaction chipped away at my identity. Eventually, I sought therapy after nearly collapsing in a meeting from exhaustion. Dr. Howard Levin, calm and quiet, didn't ask about my job first. Instead, he asked, "In your family, who usually receives money?" Without thinking, I replied, "All of them." Then he asked, "And who's never been asked, are you okay?" I smiled, because the answer hit harder than anything else ever had. Therapy didn't heal me with cliches. It healed me with silence, Dr. Levin's quiet as I listed everything I had done for my family. Hearing it aloud stunned even me. Then Dr. Howard asked me a simple question. If a close friend told you exactly what you just shared with me, what advice would you give them? I didn't even pause. I'd tell them to stop. Right away. He gave a small nod. That was all he needed to say. The following week, I sat on my couch under a soft amber light. My laptop rested on the oak table, video call ready. I could see all 3 names in the waiting room, my parents and Brittany. I clicked join. "Sweetheart," my mom greeted first, overly cheerful. "That cream-colored purse you had last time, gorgeous. You got it with that bonus, right?" Brittany jumped in, voice laced with envy. "Had to be what, $500? I didn't respond with a smile. "I need to talk to you all about something serious." Silence. My dad squinted at the camera. My mom paused mid-sip. Brittany leaned back with crossed arms like she was preparing for battle. "I've decided I'm no longer sending money every month." Mom's expression turned puzzled. "You're joking, right?" "No, I'm not. This isn't sudden. I've thought about it for a long time." I won't be paying bills, medical expenses, or funding holidays anymore. I'll step in if there's a true emergency, but I need to start taking care of my own future. My dad chuckled and shook his head. Let me guess. Another one of those therapists getting in your head again? I kept eye contact. No. For once, I'm actually listening to myself. Brittany rolled her eyes. So you're bailing on the family over some self-help talk? Don't expect us to pretend everything's fine. I felt my pulse racing, but my voice stayed steady. You've been real for years. You just never had to face any of the consequences. Mom's tone turned pleading. Families don't keep tabs like this, Jasmine. You know your dad's drowning in betting debt. Brittany's rent is due. If she doesn't pay, she'll get kicked out. I spoke slowly. If the crisis repeats every month, it's no longer an emergency. It's a pattern, and I won't be part of it anymore. Dad's face turned red. He slammed the table. We made sacrifices for you. You wouldn't have even finished college if we hadn't helped. Your mom skipped meals for you. I nodded. And now she's still skipping, but for Brittany, who splurges on designer bags and posts party pics every weekend. Brittany jumped to her feet. Wow. How dare you? I'm your sister. Exactly, I said quietly. That's why I tolerated this for so long. Tears welled in my mom's eyes. My dad lit a cigarette with trembling fingers. Brittany ended the call abruptly without another word. I'm not cutting anyone off, I continued. I'm drawing a line. If someone reaches out responsibly, I'll be there. But if it's just another request for cash, then I'm not available. Silence hung in the air. Then I left the call. I sat quietly in my apartment, heart heavy but relieved. On December 12th, exactly 2 weeks before Christmas, my mom sent a message to our family group chat. Sweetheart, we're going to cancel Christmas this year. Your dad's credit card debt is too much, and I have to pay for insurance. We just can't do it. Moments later, my dad chimed in, dramatically as always, we'd rather have dignity than stage a holiday we can't afford. Better to skip it this year. Then Brittany added, I've been crying for over an hour. Christmas is my favorite time of year. I guess I'll just pick up extra shifts to get through it. I stood in my kitchen holding a half-finished mug of hot cocoa. Outside, snow fell gently like powdered sugar. Part of me felt immense relief. No need to carry the entire celebration, no pressure to decorate or buy perfect gifts. But another part of me ached. A daughter still hoping her family would someday gather around love instead of expectation. So I replied, it doesn't have to be big. I can bring some food and small gifts. My mom responded almost instantly, no, Jasmine. Your dad said it would feel like a handout. We appreciate your kindness, but we'll pass. Then my dad followed up, we're adults now. We need to be responsible. You don't need to keep saving everyone. I read that line again and again. And for the first time, it wasn't me they were refusing, it was the money. I spent the next 2 days thinking it through. Over the weekend, I went out and picked up a few modest gifts. No extravagant gadgets or branded electronics like previous years. Just simple, personal things, a chestnut scarf for mom, a watch repair kit for dad, an old hobby he once loved, a beauty store gift card for Brittany. I baked a batch of gingerbread cookies and picked up a bottle of red wine from the corner shop I liked. On the morning of December 23rd, I packed everything neatly into a basket, wrapped it carefully, and added a note. This isn't pity. Just a small bit of holiday spirit. Whether you want to see me or not, I still love you. Before driving over, I texted them, about to drop off a few gifts. No need to come out if you're busy. I'll just leave them on the porch. Their reply came quickly, too quickly. Dad's going to look at a house. Mom's picking up medicine. Brittany has an evening shift. Probably won't be home tomorrow either. You can just leave them outside. Something in me sank. I opened our old family location sharing app, the same one I used to track Brittany's bus rides home in college. All three icons were still. Not scattered. Not running errands. All right there, at the house. I didn't text back. I drove to the end of their street, parked in the shadow of bare trees, and watched. The windows glowed softly, but every curtain was pulled shut. I didn't knock. I didn't ring. I walked up quietly, placed the basket on the steps, and stood for a moment before turning back to my car. That night, I couldn't sleep. I played soft Christmas music, poured a small glass of wine, and curled up beside the blinking lights of my own tree. No one called. No messages. No, thank you. Just a long, quiet night. And in that stillness, I told myself, maybe they need time. Maybe they'll come around to understanding that I've changed. On Christmas Eve, Denver was bitterly cold. Each breath outside formed clouds in the air. I stepped onto my balcony, wrapped in a thick robe, and looked out over the quiet snow-covered city. Inside, the tree lights reflected in my wine glass. I had the movie The Holiday playing for the third time that week. Trying, desperately, to make this solo celebration feel enough. Then my phone buzzed. Instagram notification, @William Campbell just went live. I blinked. Brittany? Live on Christmas Eve during her supposed extra shift. Curiosity got the better of me. I tapped the screen. The stream loaded slowly, but when it did, I froze. Brittany was standing in a brightly lit, well-decorated room. Not a store. Not some shared apartment. Our parents' living room, but it had changed completely. No more worn-out couches. A new leather set gleamed under the lights. Wreaths hung on the walls. LED string lights outlined the windows. A massive Christmas tree, dripping in ornaments and satin ribbon, stood center stage. Merry Christmas, everyone. Look how amazing the party is. Brittany beamed, spinning the camera around. A long table held a roasted turkey, fancy desserts, platters of meats and cheese, even red wine. There was a DJ in the corner, colorful lights splashing across the walls. My chest tightened. This was the canceled Christmas. The one they couldn't afford. Then Brittany aimed the camera at our parents. Mom had her hair curled, lipstick perfectly applied. Dad, in a new blazer, raised a glass beside Uncle Wade, the same relative they claimed couldn't visit due to costs. Mom, say something. Brittany said. Merry Christmas, everyone. Mom smiled. Dad added, being with real family is what counts. Who needs anyone else, right? I couldn't move. Then Brittany turned the camera back on herself and whispered into the mic, Shoo, don't tell Jasmine, okay? She still thinks we're broke. Let her. Laughter followed. Off-screen, someone added, as long as the money keeps flowing, let her keep believing it. My heart broke. I exited the stream, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I sat there, surrounded by blinking lights and quiet music, and felt everything, rage, betrayal, sadness, and something worse, emptiness. I stood up and stepped out onto the balcony, the cold air immediately stinging my face like a slap meant to snap me awake. I opened Instagram again, this time going straight to Brittany's profile. Her old stories were still there. 3 days ago, a shot of a fresh manicure, a little reward for hard work. 2 days ago, a cluster of luxury shopping bags, retail therapy. Just yesterday, a picture from a salon, rollers in her hair, getting ready for a magical night. Not even a trace of financial struggle. I kept scrolling, then switched over to check my mom's Facebook. Photos of elegantly wrapped gifts, a short video of my dad examining bottles of wine, and a cryptic post from 3 days prior. Christmas is when we decide who truly belongs in our lives. It made me want to laugh, not from amusement, but from the sheer audacity. I opened my banking app and slowly scanned my recent transactions. $3,200 to my parents on December 1st. Another $450 to Brittany on the 7th, end-of-year utilities. Insurance. Maintenance. All expenses I'd covered. Each payment landed like a blow. Every dollar cent had been laced with trust. Now, it all looked like evidence, proof of a betrayal disguised as love. I set the phone down on the table. No outburst, no crying. Just stillness, solid and quiet. And for the first time ever, I stopped defending them in my head. I stayed awake through Christmas night. At 1:27 a.m., I was still sitting on the floor, back pressed to the couch, my laptop open with tabs showing my bank account and Instagram. Silent Night played quietly from the speaker. What used to be comforting now only echoed the emptiness inside. I began taking screenshots from Brittany's live stream. The dinner table. The cruel jokes. My mother's beaming face as she said, "We don't need anyone else." My father swirling wine in a glass. Brittany winking at the camera, "Don't tell my sister." Each image another nail in the coffin. Not just lies, calculated exclusion, financed by me. Then I downloaded 12 months' worth of bank statements. I printed them out and marked every transaction related to my parents and Brittany in red ink. They accounted for more than 40% of my personal spending that year. Next, I created a spreadsheet. Columns for names, dates, reasons, amounts. The total? Over $36,000. At 7:18 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from my father. "Jasmine, this morning I need you to send $3,800 to cover overdue rent. The landlord says it must be paid by noon or will face penalties. Please help like always." Like always. My hands didn't tremble anymore. I typed a single sentence. "Delete my number." Then I hit send. I opened my contacts and blocked my father, then my mother, Brittany, and even the cousin who once texted, "You're doing the right thing, helping the family." I revoked access to the secondary bank account my mother used. Cancelled all auto payments. Changed passwords for financial apps. Enabled two-factor authentication. Placed credit monitoring alerts on all 3 major bureaus. At 10:30, I called Hannah, the family attorney I'd worked with years ago during Brittany's lease issue. My tone was flat as I gave her a summary. "Jasmine, do you want me to take immediate action?" "No, not yet. I just want to start a legal record in case it's needed. I have the documents and evidence. Right now, I need to ensure they can't touch any of my financial or property information." "That's smart. Would you like to update your will? Change the retirement fund beneficiaries?" "Yes. Remove all of them." I ended the call. My head felt clearer, but my chest was still heavy. I opened the window, took in the falling snow, soft, constant, just enough to blur, not conceal. That afternoon, a Venmo alert came through. A request from Brittany for $1,100. The note read, "Do you feel noble now?" I reported it as harassment and deleted the app. An hour later, my mom called from a masked number. I let it ring. She left a voicemail, 90 seconds long, her voice shaking near the end. "I don't know what happened to change you like this. But I hope you're not planning to walk away forever." I saved the audio and placed it in a folder labeled, "Family Archive, Do Not Reopen." That evening, I walked into the bank and canceled the joint credit card my father had access to. Reason for closing the account? The clerk asked. I no longer want anyone else using my money as a weapon against me. That night, I baked the cookies I'd originally prepared for the family gathering. Not to eat, just to put closure on a tradition that never had the chance to start. I let them cool, then threw them all away. Standing there in the quiet kitchen, I finally recognized how long I had swallowed my pain in silence. From now on, I would choose boundaries, not endurance. Even if the cost was a lonely holiday, it was one I was ready to pay. 2 days after Christmas, my phone and inbox exploded with messages, like an unexpected downpour. Calls from unfamiliar numbers. Messages from distant cousins and old high school friends I barely remembered. The theme was always the same. Jasmine, are you okay? Heard you're not doing well. Your parents are really worried. This isn't like you. What happened? How could you abandon them during the holidays? It was clear, Brittany and my parents had already rewritten the story. They weren't the ones who exploited me, they were now portraying themselves as victims of a successful daughter who'd gone cold. I checked Facebook. My mom had posted a long status, when you raise a child to give, but they grow up and choose selfishness. Beneath it, dozens of comments. Jasmine's changed. Probably forgot where she came from. Someone needs to reach out before she loses herself. Prayers going up. I didn't respond. Didn't defend myself. Not one word. But deep inside, something fractured. Not from heartbreak, but from the clarity that they weren't just unrepentant, they were fully willing to paint me as the villain to save their image. On December 29th, as I prepped for a quarterly presentation, the office front desk buzzed me. Jasmine, there's a woman downstairs saying she's your mother. With a blonde woman, possibly your sister. She says it's urgent. I froze. Are they alone? Yes. Just the two of them. Tell them I'm not available. And if they don't leave, call security. 30 minutes later, the receptionist emailed me a photo of a handwritten note they left. We don't understand why you're doing this. Don't destroy your family over a moment of anger. I saved the image and deleted the email. That evening, Lauren, a former coworker, called from New York. Jasmine, are you okay? Brittany messaged me saying you had a breakdown and lost control of your finances. Do you need help? I took a breath. I'm completely fine. But I appreciate you reaching out directly, it shows I can trust you. So, they're lying? Not lying, twisting facts to serve a narrative. After that, I started combing through my contacts. Anyone who had reshared my mother's post or messaged with veiled judgment, gone. Blocked. I didn't need people who bought half-truths. In therapy with Dr. Howard, I started talking more honestly. I no longer felt the need to hide or explain myself. I'm not sure if I've been too harsh, cutting them off like that. Coldness creates space. You're creating safety. Family doesn't mean permission to harm. The first week of January, Brittany sent a new LinkedIn connection with a note, if you don't send this month's money, I'm actually getting evicted. Your call. I didn't respond. Just took a screenshot and forwarded it to Hannah. Send me the full transfer history, too, she said. If they escalate, we can start a financial harassment case. I did it instantly. A week later, another unknown number. My father's voice on the voicemail. I'm begging, just this once. Send $2,000 to save the house. After this, I swear I won't ask again. I saved the voicemail but never replied. I erased the message, then logged into my bank account to review my financial records. The amount I had sent them over the last 3 years could have easily purchased a modest home outside the city. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully, free from nightmares about overdue bills, my dad pleading for money, or Brittany shouting at me through the phone. I knew the road ahead wasn't fully clear, but I'd finally broken free from the loop of shame and emotional blackmail. February came and went in a kind of haunting stillness. No new texts. No anonymous calls. No vague check-ins from old contacts. It was the kind of quiet I hadn't known in over a decade. Initially, I kept waiting, bracing myself for another shoe to drop, unable to trust the silence. But gradually, I adjusted, and bit by bit, I relearned how to exist without guilt hanging over my every decision. I started cooking at home again, not to save, but to savor. I tried dishes I had always been curious about, hearty Italian soups made with red wine, nutty chia seed bread, pan-seared salmon drizzled with passion fruit sauce. Most of them weren't perfect, but being alone in my kitchen, free from criticism or obligation, offered a rare kind of liberation. I signed up for Saturday yoga at a cozy studio in Highlands. The instructor, Nora, a warm-eyed woman in her 50s, had weathered a divorce and bankruptcy, yet still radiated peace. After class, I'd often linger to chat with others, people also on the journey of rediscovering life on their own terms. One afternoon, while reading at a sidewalk cafe, I struck up a conversation with Janet, a retired nurse who'd spent 35 years in oncology. She shared that money had driven a wedge between her and her son. Smiling gently, she told me, "I lost the child born from me. Now I look for children of the heart." Her words hit something deep. A chosen family, formed not by blood, but by connection. Soon after, I began volunteering on Wednesdays at a women's support center in Aurora, helping young women navigate financial crises. I offered guidance on budgeting and how to recognize financial manipulation within families. I shared pieces of my own experience, not names or details, just enough for someone listening to feel seen. Haley, a 26-year-old single mom who had lived in her car for almost 3 months, hugged me after our 4th meeting. "You showed me that setting boundaries isn't cruel," she said, "it's how we protect ourselves." I held her close, and for the first time in a long while, my tears weren't from sorrow. They came from knowing I had finally done something right. In March, I used the money I once sent home to book a long overdue trip, my first in 5 years. A small wooden cabin on the edge of an Oregon forest. I woke up to rustling leaves, slept without interruption, and went days without my phone ringing. For once, no emergencies were waiting. On my last night there, I got an unexpected email. Subject: "Kiddo, I need to talk." It was from Ronald Miller. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside, he explained a looming $27,000 foreclosure on the family home. "You're my last hope," he wrote. "Just this once. I swear it's the last time." I read the message calmly, no anger, no sadness. Just clarity. My response was short: "I can't help. I hope you find your own path. If you and Mom want to truly rebuild anything, I can refer you to my therapist. But only on one condition: no money involved." 3 days went by. He didn't reply, but I saw he had read it. I flew back to Denver and resumed the life I was now building. Breakfasts with the yoga crew. Sunday book club chats with Janet. Teaching Haley how to navigate credit interest. Learning to make almond yogurt from scratch. I had lost a family, but found a new community. Mid-April, Janet invited me over for dinner. She made her son's favorite childhood stew. "Tonight," she said, "I made it for you. Because you deserve a meal made just for you, with nothing expected in return." I didn't answer right away. I picked up my fork, took a bite, and smiled. This is the first time I've eaten a family meal without feeling like I'm paying for it. The path ahead is still long, but this time, I'm walking it on solid ground, without shame, obligation, or the warped definitions of love I once accepted. Because if there's one truth I've learned, it's this: real love doesn't require endless sacrifice. It's rooted in mutual care and respect. And sometimes, the family that matters most isn't the one you're born into, but the one you choose to keep close. Jasmine's journey is a powerful reminder that sometimes, the deepest wounds aren't inflicted by strangers, but by those closest to us, who take our devotion for granted. Yet through that heartbreak, she found the strength to stand her ground, reclaim her identity, and rebuild a life founded on truth and choice. Have you ever had to draw the line with people you thought you owed forever? Would you be strong enough to choose peace over loyalty to pain? Let us know in the comments, and follow our channel for more real-life stories of courage, healing, and growth.